Hello, it's Hark the Lark again, and I've got another episode to do. I have done 8 previous to now, and this is the first time I'm in my library, so that'll be the only time I say that. But this is my library, so enjoy some of the books in the background. I am going to talk today about map projections and perspective quickly. I want you to see this horrible map I drew. It is going to help you understand some place names, though, that we take for granted. I did a video on the honeymoon and on grandfather clock, and all of us know the word honeymoon and what it means, and grandfather clock and what it means. But I mean, we know what they are, but we don't know where they come from, like where we get the names. So this will have a couple of those tidbits too. So on this map that I've drawn, a very coarse map, this is around the 1200s, 1300s. This is Europe over here. This is Africa over here, and Asia up here. Well, what I want to point out is obvious, very different. We, in the world today, most of the maps are oriented with the north on the top. But I want you to see that the maps of the 1300s, they had a Latin word for the east, and that's the Latin word for east. It is oriens. It's where we get the word orient. It is also because you oriented a map with the east on the top, and the reason for that was that the church scholars in Europe at the time wanted to have Jerusalem and the area where Jesus lived on the top. So that's why they oriented that way. And so by orienting a map with the east on the top, it's why we call East Asia the Orient. It's why we called East Asians Orientals, because of that relationship. The other quick thing I want to point out is that with this being Europe and this being Africa, this is the water between, the middle of the land. And so that's where it gets its name, Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean is broken down into 2 pieces, middle and land, and that's where it gets its name. Also, real quick, these silly mountains I've drawn on the corner of Africa are the Atlas Mountains, and they are the namesake of the water down here. The water beyond the Atlas is the Atlantic, and I did a video on that, so you can watch that on your own. This continent is Asia, and the word Asia comes from Greek and Latin words that mean where the sun comes from. It makes sense, right? The sun rises in the east, and so that's the land of where the sun comes from. The Chinese have a word for Japan, and that word is Nippon. And Nippon means land of the origin of the sun, like where the sun actually starts from. So as China looked across the sea and there was that land called Japan, Japan was actually where the sun originated from that perspective. It's just funny. When you think about all the rest of the world and where the sun came from and where the sun set and why we have place names for different things, it just starts to make some sense. The last quick thing I want to say is just how revolutionary it was for Columbus to argue for something. Many, many people, including myself when I was in elementary school, was taught that everybody thought the world was flat. That isn't true. Most people with any education knew the world was round. The big question was, how big round was it? And what I want you to realize is that the world is round, and this is the knowledge you have of the world. Columbus was arguing that you went down to get to the top. He wanted to go like this and land here in Asia. And of course, all of you know that because he did that and he landed, and he believed he landed somewhere over here, and these places and these islands were called the Indies, it is because of the misunderstanding of where he was that he named the people of America the Indians. And we're still kind of stuck with that reality as well. So sometimes misunderstandings last a long time and have legacies. And so that's where I want to stop now. I hope that this has been interesting. Please look for my next episode when I do a little bit more on some place names and word origins and things. Thank you.